All right, friends, it's T-Man, and I'm back with a new video. Again, JasonBlaha, our favorite YouTuber, man. The influencer, you know, the lifting gym, recruiting lifting slave, JasonBlaha himself. I'm going to review this video today. Let's see what JasonBlaha has to say. The mind-muscle connection can enhance muscle growth. See that? Weights are going to build you muscle. Breatharian diets are going to build you muscle. And guess what else is going to build you a muscle, man? The mind-muscle connection can enhance muscle growth. It's going to enhance it. Well, he didn't really say it's building it. He says it enhances it. I don't know. I don't know how that can enhance muscle growth, but okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's weird. Telepathy? All right, let's see what he has to say.
All right, so I thought I would chat with you guys now a little bit about the mind-muscle connection. And this is going to be funny coming from me because...
Yes, I wonder how's that working for you, Blaha? Oh, not so great, eh? Yeah, sarcopenia, chronic diseases, skin diseases, and looking like a melted candle. If you could grow your hair back, that would be a miracle, man. Mind, muscle, or hair connection, head to hair connection.
I've tried to keep pace with the current scientific literature, and as all of you know, I tend to be...
Let me get this straight. He tries to keep pace with the scientific literature. Now, I use real science, unlike all these fucking so-called science gurus that are out there, like Jeremy Ether, and I don't know, what's his name, that midget, I forget his name, the Canadian guy. All these people, whatever the hell they're doing out there, all these fucking asshole people that are using so-called science, they're not using the real science, okay? They're using like tests. People did tests on people. Man, how should I put this? They're not using the real science, okay? They're using something. Oh, let's see how much muscle they gained in a week or 2 weeks, or let's see what this guy got or what this guy got or what they get. They don't even know how to read the science properly. They don't know that energy is loaded in the sarcoplasm of the muscle. It's an energy source, and a lot of it could be loaded in there, and people misconstrue that as muscle. I'll tell you this, if there's nothing injured in the muscle fiber to rebuild bigger and stronger, then there is zero growth. If there's no injury, there's no fucking growth in those fucking muscles, and there's no amount of protein that you could eat in an adapted state that'll make them magically grow. And I'll tell you this, ain't no drug, nothing is going to damage them for you. And if you're uncomfortable damaging them, then don't do it and don't complain. See what I mean?
Open-minded with these things, even when I am proven wrong, right? When the weight of the...
Think about it. Do you think that him doing his arms every day, you think you can injure your muscle fibers every day and then have them repair and remodel bigger and stronger? You think you could do that? You think that's going to happen? You think he injures them, right? And then he goes to sleep and they repair and they remodel like in what? Fucking 8 hours of sleep? You have to be fucking insane, man. And here's another thing. Muscles, they can't be injured every fucking day. If you were to injure them every day lifting a weight, guess what? You'd end up in rhabdo in the hospital in a stupor, in a coma, dying, dude.
Evidence and data and everything else kind of says, Jason, you were wrong.
Jason.
I step up and admit it and go, okay, I was wrong. I used to make fun of this whole idea of the mind-muscle connection. Do you know why? Because I really dislike New Age hippie stuff, okay? I don't believe in any of that. I think, for the most part, it's all nonsense.
He's one to talk New Age hippie stuff. Give me fucking break, man.
And that's just how I feel about the entire topic of the whole woo thing. I think it's ridiculous, and I think anything that comes out of it is again, just ridiculous. And so to me, the whole idea, the way people describe it, you gotta have the mind-muscle connection, man. Because it was guys like Frank Zane, who was, very much a New Age from the bodybuilding world, used to say that, and to me, that's how it came across. And when people would...
Yeah, Frank Zane from the bodybuilding world, the fake bodybuilding world, all of his, the people that he looks up to, they're all fake bodybuilders.
Say that I'm picturing crystals, people who believe in fairies, right? This is what I would picture with this mind-muscle connection, and I'm just like, no, lifting is about primal, raw. It's about performance. It's about moving big weights, workload, numbers, math, and just
Oh yeah.
hard work. Okay?
No,
It's the reason I kind of have my own work mode.
Real bodybuilding is not based on that at all whatsoever. It's not based on they grouped up a bunch of people to see what they got 1 week working out, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever, one day or whatever it was they were doing there. And they don't even tell you what this muscle growth is. I told you before, there's two types of muscle growth. Okay, there's myofibular hypertrophy, sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. One can exceed the other. It's a possibility. One can exceed the other. See what I'm trying to explain to you? Why? Because, man, it's like this, okay? Muscles have an MND size limit. They have a myonuclear domain size limit, okay? They're overseen by folostat, myostat, and the satellite cell, a whole bunch of things. It's overseen by a whole bunch of stuff, okay? And the sarcoplasm is not overseen by any of those things. So it's not restricted to that. So you could eat shitloads of glycogen, and you can load these glycogen proteins, because glycogen is a type of protein. It can load in there. You understand me? But you eating meat, that type of protein, contractile, building up these contractile, so-called contractile proteins. Yeah, man, it doesn't load as an energy source in there. Do you understand me? Protein itself doesn't load in there as an energy source, but glycogen does. See what I mean? But anyways, I guess, people just, they don't understand the whole thing about sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, myofibular packing, fucking sarcoplasmic, whatever, myofibular hypertrophy. They just don't know the differences, man. They don't even bother to look it up or try to understand it. Does science tell you how to build what builds muscle? Yeah, it says eccentric exercise causes what? It causes damage. What else does it tell you? It tells you it's superior to concentric exercises. They're not involved in that. Okay, what else does it tell you? It tells you unaccustomed, untrained, unfamiliar forms get this damage. Did they say that familiar forms get you this damage? Fuck no. Does it say being adapted gets you this damage? No, but it tells you the adaptation process. It says with a repeated bout, it adapts itself. It's an adaptation process. How does it do that? Well, it protects, and then when it does repair and remodel, it becomes resilient from further assaults. What is the adaptation process? To become bigger and stronger from further assaults, to build any more muscle, to get damage from building any more muscle. That's the whole point. The whole point of getting adapted to an exercise is it becomes damaged, then it repairs and remodels, so it doesn't get damaged again with a second repeated bout, so it doesn't grow any bigger and stronger anymore. Get it? So you, a little strong guy lifting a heavy weight. Now it takes on a secondary shift. We call that, you guys call that powerlifting. Get it? Yeah. You gotten better at lifting a heavy weight, but you never got bigger and stronger. See what I mean? A bunch of stuff like that. You get the gist of it.
You even see me using chains instead of little ropes if I need to.
Oh yeah, science tells you everything. It tells you myocytic androgen receptor controls the strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. They tell you everything. They explain to you what this force production is. It's chemicals based on proteins, these androgen receptors, and these molecules binding to them. Now, in your case, lifting a heavy weight, you're accumulating more androgen receptors. Now, steroid people, they don't necessarily need to do that. They inject the steroid, and then there's too much molecules. The overabundance of molecules bind to the androgen receptor. But also they're able to push heavier weight. And that would that gives their body an adaptation in more of these androgen receptors too for force production. So you get it? So there's an influx of hormone there. So that's the difference. You are just doing it naturally. It's not to say that each person can't lift a heavy weight, natural or steroid people. But you're never going to become big like steroid people because you're just not eating enough glycogen. You're not doing specific things to become big like them. And it's nasty to hold all that glycogen in your muscle. It's very toxic, and that's why that's the toxicity, plus the steroids are toxic. But you as a natural person loading too much of this glycogen, it's very toxic, man. It's bad for your health. You want to become a diabetic or have chronic diseases, just keep doing that. That's why lifting weights is unhealthy. Lifting weights in a gym and eating an unnatural diet, carbohydrates, is extremely unhealthy. That's not my muscle, get it? It's very toxic. That's why it's bad for your health. People don't realize that if you want to build real fibular growth, then you're going to have to injure these muscle fibers. And like I said, if you're uncomfortable doing it, don't do it. And don't complain about it.
Pull something up into a loop like that. That's why I have all these chains and other stuff in my gym. Because that's always kind of been my philosophy, you know.
Yeah.
Again, but in that.
Let's say this. You're chasing something that is elusive. It is the work that it goes into building real myofibular work. Remember, to damage a muscle has to be unaccustomed, untrained, unfamiliar, causes this damage. Plus, it has to go through a repair and a remodeling. Otherwise, it won't damage with a repeated bout. Until those muscles are repaired and remodeled, they will not damage again. You understand me? So that could take a week to I don't know how long, get it? But a minimum a week. But that all depends how you're eating. You must be in an anabolic growth state, just like those burn victims. They ate 36 eggs. Were they overeating on protein? Was it not being absorbed? Like people say, oh, you know, you need 32 grams of protein. No, they're burn victims. They need to be put in an anabolic growth state. How do you do that? By overeating a lot of food, a lot of protein. Protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown. You get it? They were breaking down their skin. They were burned. And so they exceeded it, being an anabolic growth state. They shut off the catabolic hormone, converted the catabolic hormone to an androgen so it didn't have to compete with the myocytic androgen receptor. Get it? You understand me? Giving them more, they're putting them in an anabolic growth state. And they were growing and they were repairing and whatever. And that's how it works in bodybuilding. You need to be two things you need to be in an anabolic growth state, and you need to know how to damage these muscle fibers to get them to rebuild bigger and stronger. That's about it. You have to figure it out.
Respect, you guys have also seen me deadlift over 600 pounds without a belt in my late 40s.
No one cares if you could lift 600 pounds in public. In public, all they see is if you built yourself big and strong. But if you're a small melted candle like him walking around, they don't give a shit about him. Bigger people who don't lift weights, big people that are got some dude who's like over 200, 300 pounds, whatever, 6'7", 6'5", 6'8", whatever, walking down the street, 7 feet tall, is not going to move for Blaha because he could lift 600 pounds. You understand me? He's going to walk all over this small ant who could lift 600 pounds. He's going to step on him like a cockroach.
Okay, I am about big raw lifts.
People do not respect small, weak, strong guys in public. They respect big, tall, strong guys. Get it, man?
However, these days I have started working more on physique stuff, and you guys do see me doing a lot more.
And if a young guy is watching my video, if you want to get taller, if you have a problem getting taller and bigger, eat fucking animal organs like liver. Liver is going to take you to places that you have never gone before, dude.
Of these
beef liver.
Single joint exercises and squeezing.
And stop eating a fake diet like this dude. Otherwise, you'll be like him. That's another thing. Eat your natural diet.
And all of that. And, you know, the data has come out over the years. There's been a variety of data. There's been stuff looking at internal versus external cueing and EMGs. And, again, mind-muscle connection is the same thing as an internal cue. You are focusing on feeling the muscle, right? Feeling the muscle.
Yeah, how's that working for him exactly, eh? Look, how's that working for him? Look at his knees. Look at his legs. He's suffering from sarcopenia. This is sarcopenia, the small arms and the skinny legs. This is sarcopenia, man. Get it? He's just burning out the progenitor cells, exercising every day. This is nuts. And I said it's toxic to put glycogen in your muscles, storing this energy source in there, because he's an endurance athlete. Endurance forever. He's going to die soon.
Making sure you feel that muscle contract, even as you fight against the negatives and whatever. Okay, there were data showing higher electromagnetic activity in the muscles when you do this. Although I used to always point out, we also got that when you just use external cueing.
Again, bodybuilding is not complicated. The 3 things you need to do: unaccustomed, untrained, unfamiliar forms. You need to know the formula to getting this damage to come back. Plus, You need to know that muscles need to go through a repair and a remodeling. You need to be in an anabolic growth state. If you do not have money, there's no point going to the gym trying to build myofibrillar growth. But if you're a poor person, then keep eating your slave diet, carbohydrate diet, your sugar diet, go to the gym and lift and be happy. You can lift every day on a slave diet, okay? And those phony muscles you grow, all the power to you. Now, here's the thing. You're going to say, well, I got stronger because I lifted a heavy weight. Yeah, you got better at lifting a heavy weight. That doesn't, that, you could say you got strong at moving objects around, definitely. But did you get physically bigger and stronger? No, you didn't. I'm talking about physically bigger and stronger. And if you don't understand what that means, then go with your lifting a heavy weight. Go carry it over to arm wrestling and see how you do there. If you're so fucking strong, get it?
Move the weight faster, right? Focus on exploding the weight. Okay, so that used to be my...
Again, I'm not saying that lifting a heavy weight is a bad thing. You can lift a heavy weight. That's all part of bodybuilding. I'm not knocking it. I'm trying to explain something to people out there that they may not be understanding.
Counter argument, but compared to baseline, it did show that the mind-muscle connection did something. Okay, it was measurable. It's like, all right.
Yes, it gave people brain freezes.
We can measure the energy, we can measure the electricity. Well, later studies have started looking at it, and what they have found is that mind-muscle connection, that focusing on the muscle does seem to cause a little more muscle growth. So some of the body...
Let me get this straight. So focusing on the muscle, even though you're not in an anabolic growth state to grow muscles, just by focusing on it, it caused the muscles to grow? What? This is like saying breatharian diets make muscles to grow, or lifting a piece of metal makes muscles to grow. So now the mind muscle makes it to grow. What the fuck?
Those you talked about this were right. And
what?
You saw it even sometimes when performance was less, because sometimes it reduced performance to do it. Okay? Sometimes it reduced performance on a set. Sometimes when you did that, you couldn't get quite as many reps. And I've started working with that idea a little bit myself. So for me, I do that, and then I really focus on that when I'm getting close to failure so that I can make sure that I fail at a certain number of reps. Okay, so if I'm doing sets across, I start focusing more and more on that mind-muscle connection as I start getting to those terminal reps. If I want to reach muscle failure, if I start a set early,
I think every single...
I only want to get about 10 reps, but I know I can probably do 12. I absolutely focus on that. Focus on that squeeze, focus on that control, right? Like you see me kind of doing right there, even on those curls. Okay, why? Because it makes me fail sooner. Because the muscles are working harder, we are hitting the highest threshold muscle fibers, because that is ultimately the goal. When you are no longer a novice lifter, your hypertrophy comes from the highest threshold muscle fibers. If you do not get to those deep fibers, you do not grow. That's it. Unless you change something chemically in your body.
You don't grow if you're in an adapted state. What is he talking about? You never grow if you're adapted.
Right? So some of your hormones in your body dramatically go up, and we all know what that means. And I don't care which hormones it is. It could be testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, whatever in your body. Unless you find a way to raise those anabolic hormones, the more advanced you get, the more you have to get to the upper threshold muscle fibers to see any significant muscle growth. All right, so this is another tool for us to get to that. And when you understand it for what it is a tool that will let us reach those muscle fibers, those deeper fibers, the ones that are the only ones that grow anymore when you're advanced. Okay? We have to be clear on that. Your intermediate fibers,
They don't grow just because you're lifting. You get to the deeper muscle fibers. You get to them if you could damage them, the deeper muscle fibers, by going slightly heavier. That will get you an adaptation. But you have to shoot for that adaptation. You have to know what you're shooting for. To get an adaptation, remember what I said. To get an adaptation means damaged muscles. Okay. So if you go heavier, you've never gone before to get the so-called the deeper, weaker muscle fibers. That's what we're trying to hit. Get it? The target. Not like he's saying. And so you're moving for an adaptation. Get it? In other words, you'd have to have been unfamiliar with doing it previously. You've never done it before. Unfamiliar, untrained, unfamiliar forms, whatever, unaccustomed. You're unaccustomed to doing this or whatever it is you were doing there.
By the time you've been training 5+ years hard, you can forget any of those fibers really growing much anymore. Okay, you're down to just.
No, they don't grow anymore. You mean getting damaged anymore, getting them damaged and then them growing. You being in anabolic growth state. No, it's because you keep doing the exact same stuff in the gym over and over again. You've not really moved for different adaptations. You can do a lot of different things to get new adaptations. You just are so familiar with your exercises. You just love doing them over and over again, lifting in failure like him.
The fast twitch stuff, those deeper fibers. Okay, we can reach those with higher rep, lighter weight training though.
Again, muscles don't damage with repeated bouts. You understand me? They only ever damage if you're unaccustomed or unfamiliar with doing them in an adapted state. You could say that. Again, it needs to go through a repair and a remodeling. Or you resensitize after a week. You take an entire week off or whatever, maybe even 2 weeks, come back, hit it again, damage them, and and then you can grow them bigger and stronger. You don't need to be in a hurry going to a gym trying to get better at lifting heavy weights. What you need to get better at is getting bigger and stronger, dude. That's what. Anyways, let's see what else he has to say here.
By going to failure and by more importantly, focusing hard on that muscle, really thinking about that muscle, making sure you're feeling it contracting. And the same thing even on the eccentric reps. So I'm not telling people to do really slow eccentrics because that's been shown to actually can reduce muscle growth. But just your eccentric itself, I really like to feel that muscle fight. Even if it's only a 1 second on the way back down like you're watching in some of this stuff here. Okay. I focus on that. And that's what I would recommend with a lot of people. It's another tool in the toolbox. But I think especially when it comes to these
another tool in the toolbox.
isolation movements. I don't think so much on the big exercises. I don't think it's as important. At the end of the day, it's about going into deep stretches, doing workload, heavy weight for a lot of reps on quality reps. But we start getting into these smaller isolation movements. I think the mind-muscle connection, and again, we go based upon what that data shows. I think this is probably where it pays off. Okay, it will help you get there with a slightly lighter weight, which means we recover better. Okay,
I can only imagine this guy's been lifting his whole life like this, wasting his time. Look, man, I've taken off more than a month already. What is it? Today's the 11th, I think. Man, I think the last time I took 8 days off, I did my chest. I came back 8 days later, did my chest, then I stopped completely. So that was the last thing I did was my chest. So from those 8 days and then the rest of the month, and now it's the 11th. So I would say practically an entire month and 11 days, I have still not been to the gym. And I may go today. I may go to do today just to do a full body damaging session. That's about it. And then tomorrow I'll probably do my legs. That's it. And then I won't come back for the entire week because it's still going to go through repair and remodeling. So yeah, I'm not really conditioning myself anymore right now. I stopped because I listen to my body. I'm not a slave. I'm not stupid. I listen to my body, myself. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it. And especially, here's nothing. When you start eating your natural diet, carnivore diet, you don't want to do any of these things anymore. That is another issue. That is a big thing you don't want to do because your problem is you're on these fake carbohydrate diet, the slave diet, which is pushing you to do these things because it's giving you an abnormal energy. It's an abnormal energy, and you feel sick or something. You think you're going to get healthy going to the gym, lifting repeatedly for no reason.
Because at the end of the day, we are looking at how hard is the training beating you up. Are you beat up for the same amount of stimulus? And when we can do things that just beat us up less, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's logical. It's rational. Okay? And so I've had to set aside.
He loves beating himself up for no reason.
My biases against just the idea, just because I didn't like the idea. To me, just philosophically, it did not jive with my ideas as a strength coach. It was too airy-fairy. But I've come to accept, look, there really is something to it. There really is something to it. The evidence is there.
He just looks like a regular guy lifting in his garage. Just some regular dude just moving some weights around. He's never accomplished anything.
And we've seen it work with bodybuilders on top of that in the real world. It's worth utilizing. But I think, again, where it shined is on these isolation movements to where you really squeeze the hell out of that muscle. I'm not talking about pausing or any of that. I actually think...
I think I know why he went on this mission, because he saw Alex Leonidas starting to get ripped and moving. You know, he does bodybuilding and heavy lifting. Alex did heavy lifting. He doesn't do much heavy lifting anymore. He still does some, like heavy bench press, whatever. Doesn't do a whole lot of heavy lifting anymore. He uses old videos to show his heavy lifts. He doesn't produce them anymore. He got smart, Alex. Alex, he sticks to much safer exercises, even if he was to move something heavy. But he's more into calisthenics, bodybuilding, and lifting somewhat heavy. And yeah, he's more into like the physique stuff and all that. And I think that's why Blaha moved into it, because of Alex Leonidas, I think.
That can reduce, like pausing in a contracted position. I personally think that reduces muscle growth. But what I mean is feeling the squeeze in it, feeling the muscle.
Pauses reduce the muscle growth? How do muscles grow, Blaha? How do muscles grow?
Trying to feel the muscle as you are working. Making sure that the muscle that you are trying to stimulate is working as hard as possible. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys and gals next time.
Yes, it's been so informative, man. Again, as usual, very uninformative that a mind muscle is going to create a muscle out of thin air like breatharian diet. See you in the next one, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Comment down below, helps with the algorithm. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends.